If you can't use gels, did you know that you can use glitter to do nail art? What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. We are using a beautiful chunky glitter to do some super simple, cute nail art today. So many of you have asked me for different ideas on how to do nail art if you can't use gels and to do it with just dip powder. So this is one of my favorite ways to do nail art that's super simple. You're going to want to have a chunky glitter, and then typically I go with either a shimmer or a solid for my other colors. So the two colors that I'm using today are from CN Designer Dips. The shimmery purple is called Orchid Starlight, and then the beautiful chunky glitter is called Lost Treasures. So I always like to start out doing my shimmers or solids first. This way, by the time I go to do my chunky glitters, I don't make a mess out of the solids or the shimmers. Now with these shimmers, what I end up doing is normally for shimmers, I just pour them over, but this shimmer had kind of like a silvery tint to it, like super, super shimmery. And on the first dip, I just felt like the colors weren't like laying exactly how I wanted it to be when I poured it over. So sometimes what I do with certain shimmers is I pour over the first layer and then I lay my nail flat for the second dip. And the reason that I end up doing this and really like doing this is because it's similar to when you're dipping a glitter, whether it's a chunky glitter, a fine glitter, whatever it is, you're able to really get the dip to lay exactly where you want when you lay your nail flat into it. But that comes with a caveat. If you are going to be laying your nail flat in any kind of powder, you want to make sure you keep your dip base as thin as you possibly can. So I like to wipe off a majority of my dip base on the inside of the bottle before I even go and apply it to the brush, especially when I know I'm going to be laying my nail flat. And it worked so well to do the first dip, pour it over, and then the second dip, laying my nail flat into the powder. I'm using these awesome little dip cups from SJ3 Designs. They are like my absolute must have for doing my nails. And this way, when I did my second dip, I really felt like I could see the shimmer in Orchid Starlight so much better than when I just poured it over. If you don't have any dip cups, you can use a cupcake liner or something like that. But for me, I am super clumsy and did not like using the cupcake liners, even though I did for years. So these dip cups for me were like an absolute game changer because they're so much sturdier. Now, once you get your layers down, and for me, since my nails are short, I only need to do 2 layers of the color and then one of clear. What I like to do is I like to encapsulate my solids and shimmers with clear before I go in and do my glitter nails. Now, something that I made a mistake doing and I didn't realize it, I was doing my design on my middle finger. So what I normally do is I skip the clear dip powder and don't do the clear dip powder till after I put my design on. Well, I just like kept going and really just forgot I was doing the design on that finger because I am super forgetful. So I ended up putting clear over it, but I'll show you how you can work around that and still keep your nails really thin. Since I always try to apply my dip base really thinly, the amount of clear that I put over my middle nail wasn't a massive amount. So if you apply your dip base really thick and then you try to pour clear over or really any color, you're going to end up with thicker nails. When you're dipping your nails, it's better to have a higher number of thinner layers of dip than a lower number of thicker layers, and this is better for longevity, for chipping, cracking, and lifting. Now we're going to jump into this gorgeous glitter. Here's some of my tricks for dipping glitters, especially when they're chunky. Number one, pour it into some kind of little either dip cup, or like I said, you can also use a cupcake liner. This way you can control exactly where your glitters are placed. So since this is a chunky glitter, what I like to do on the first dip is just try to get like a main part of the dip base down. And then on the second layer, that's where I like to get all the chunky pieces. Now I do have a thin layer of builder gel down on my natural nails. So if you don't have builder gel down and you can't use gels, you can do clear down first so that you have enough layers. When I don't use builder gel, I would do 1 to 2 layers of clear dip powder first, then my 2 layers of the color, and then finish with clear. So when I did my first layer of the chunky glitter, I just tried to pick up like the main base of the glitter. And I did really tried hard not to pick up any of the chunky pieces so that on my second dip, I can really shake up the glitter that's in the dip cup and get all the chunky glitter pieces to come to the top. And this way, when I lay my nail flat, I lay it exactly where I want it to go. I take a piece of tape and put it on one of the fingers on my opposite hand, and then just kind of like press the glitters down so they can start to really sit nicely. And if you feel like when you laid that your nail down on the second layer and there just weren't enough chunky pieces, or maybe they weren't where you like them to be, no big deal. You can just add some extra dip base to areas that you feel like the chunky glitter pieces are missing, and then hand place some where you want them to go. Now here's what we're going to do our nail art with just the glitter. So I took this flexible plate from SJ3 Designs 2 and I poured out some of my glitter. Then what you want to do is put your dip base where you want your design to be. So I put extra dip base down just like on half my nail because I wanted to do a swoop with all the little stars that were in this glitter. And they're these tiny little stars that I thought, oh my gosh, this would look so cute, like swooping on my nail. And then this can be my nail art so that I don't have to like, try to use anything else to do nail art. You're just using the dip liquids and your dip powders. What you can do is you can use some kind of like pointy nail tool. I'm using an orangewood stick here. And what I do is I tap the pointy end of the orangewood stick onto some of the dip base. And then I use that little bit of dip base that's on the orangewood stick to pick up the chunky glitter. In this case, it's the stars. And then I just place them exactly where I want them to be. So you really want liquids that are like a medium to slower dry time because it allows you the time to really work with like making your little design with the glitters. Now, if you have liquids that dry fast, then what you can do is you can do your dip base, like do a thin layer of the dip base, apply it to your nail, and then start to place your pieces and then just apply some more. So I had to apply a little bit more dip base towards the top of my nail because the dip base started to dry as I was working on laying all the little stars down in the design into the little swoop. So it's really not a problem. It's definitely easier if you have medium dry or a slower dry liquids like the CN ones are, I would say they're medium dry. So to me there was like pretty good amount of time. Then I went through on my two glitter nails and I applied my clear dip powder over top of those so I could really make sure that those were nice and encapsulated and protected for when I buff and shape. And then since I had already had some clear dip powder down over my nail, over my middle nail, since I accidentally did it, what I did when I was applying the clear dip powder onto the over the design that I did, the little stars, I tried really carefully like not to add a ton of it. I just more, focused getting the clear dip powder over top of the stars so that when I filed and buffed and shaped, they would be protected. I will say this, if you have a high quality clear, that's going to work. If you have a cloudy, kind of crappier clear, it's not going to be as easy to do just because your clear isn't going to look even. Like some parts of your nail won't look the same. Like since I had already put over some clear dip, put over the clear dip powder over the Orchid Starlight, but using the CN's clear, it's a 2020, it is crystal clear, so there's no issue about any part of my nail looking different from the other, since I don't have the same amount of clear on it. So I went through then, I brushed off the excess clear dip powder, I activated, and once it was hardened, then I'm doing my filing, buffing, and shaping. And when my nails are really short like this, I really like to make sure that I buff in a C curve motion. That just helps to keep your nails from looking not like, that chiclet gum. One of my friends calls it that. When her nails would be like short and really thick, it gives you more of that beautiful, like more natural C curve look if you buff downwards along the sides. And I like to go around my cuticles with these new cuticle bits that I have. I absolutely love. It gives me that beautiful clean cuticle line that we are all going for. Then once I finish with the buffing and the shaping and the filing, I can go in and do my top coating. I've seen dip top coat in a lot of the Facebook groups that I'm in get a bad rap, but let me tell you, this is what's happening, okay? You have to follow the instructions for whatever liquids you're using. So if you're using one brand's liquids and you try to do those instructions for another brand and it doesn't work, it's because all the liquids aren't created equal. Even if you're using two really good quality dip liquids, they might have totally different instructions on how to do the top coating. The timing is going to be different. So following along the top coating instructions that come with the dip liquids, that is huge for getting that gorgeous shine that we all love, the CN ones. You apply your activator, then wait a minute, then apply your first layer in 2 to 3 quick, thin, even strokes. And I like to cap my edges and float the top coat over. And then you wait another minute before you go in and apply your second layer. If you follow the instructions that come, you might have to do a little bit of troubleshooting, but you should get some beautiful shiny nails like I do with these CN liquids. If you're really struggling, you can always drop a comment into one of my YouTube videos and I can help you. And if you're ready to learn how to get beautiful cuticle lines, make sure you come and check out this next video and I will help you. Thanks for joining me today, nail crew.